salsa, reggaetón, un vacilón. Este es el show de la mañana en el tapón. Son un bombón, tírame remix, Elistón. Esto es el show de la mañana, el show. Esto es el show de la mañana, el show. Esto es el show de la mañana, el show. Esto es el show de la mañana, el show.
Este es el show de la mañana con Elio,
Dianelis
y la bandida.
Este es el show de la mañana, el
show. It's go time.
Eso, ahora sí.
Let's go.
Eso lo hace oficial. Ya estamos de vuelta en la última hora del show de la mañana y vamos a estar con una oficial Reeves del Departamento de Policía de nuestra ciudad de Gainesville. Así que démosle la bienvenida. Welcome,
Also Reeves from GPD.
How you been doing this morning?
Doing good, thank you.
Y vamos a estar hablando de salud mental.
Exacto.
We're going to be talking about mental health
yes,
issues.
especially that this month we were discussing that it's Suicide Prevention Month, right?
Yes.
And can you tell us a little bit? I know if los fiesteros recuerdan, if the audience remembers that a few months ago you came here with your partner that both work at the mental health calls. Can you talk about a little bit about your role?
Yeah, so we are a co-responder team. Normally I have a mental health clinician who rides with me. She's getting prepared for her big vacation, so she's out today.
Oh, that sounds good.
But we respond to mental health calls in the community. So individuals who are experiencing suicidal ideation, whether they call us or their family members call us, if they are off their medications and they need to go back to the hospital to get stabilized, or if something traumatic has happened in their life and they're just not knowing where to go to get resources to help cope with that incident. So we come in and we explain all the different resources that we have in our community, which we're really blessed in this community to have a lot of resources. And then we try to resolve the problem, but also continue to follow up with them to make sure that they're continuing to be supported with the resources we've connected them to.
Okay, and just to know, you also respond to like regular police calls, right? How will you differ that calls to the from the mental health calls?
Yeah, so we call the non-mental health calls our patrol assist. So if there's not a mental health call that is waiting for us, we'll go to all the other calls, try to help out our other officers and see. Sometimes calls come in as just regular patrol calls, and once we get there, we realize there's some type of mental health component to it. And so a lot of times we still end up providing our resources on those calls.
Ella está asignado a las llamadas de salud mental, pero también cuando no tiene situación de salud mental, pues ya responde a las llamadas regulares. Pero su función normal es de salud mental. Pero si hay un caso sucediendo, eso, o sea, no hay una llamada en ese momento, él responde a las llamadas regulares.
Exacto.
Okay, pretty much like a backup for the other calls.
Yes.
And have you seen, especially this month, have you seen more awareness or more cases related to mental health situations?
We always have a high rate of calls for individuals who are experiencing some type of mental health crisis, but we do try to put more awareness out, specifically in September, but year-round. We're always going to different community events trying to explain what our team does as far as the primary response, and then we like to talk a lot about the Alachua County Crisis Center, where they offer free counseling, in-person, telehealth, and they also have our hotline 988, which is our suicide prevention hotline for any person who is experiencing suicidal ideation or any type of crisis. They can call that number 24/7, 365 days. There's always going to be somebody on the other end that's going to talk to them. And then if that person feels like another step is needed or more support is needed, then the crisis center will call us to go make contact with that person.
You said the number is what?
988.
Hay un número que es 988 para si necesitas ayuda con cuestión de suicidio, lo puedes llamar y está disponible 24 horas.
Exacto. Y Officer Reeves dice que hay otros recursos que ellos están por el condado no solo en este mes que es mes de prevención del suicidio, sino durante todo el año van a conferencias, a conversaciones para que la gente especialmente sepa que hay recursos. There are resources for people that needs mental health.
Y eso es bien importante porque nosotros aquí hemos desarrollado tantas noticias relacionadas a que se necesita la ayuda de salud mental, y qué bueno que las personas puedan saber que hay un número que pueden comunicarse para entonces poder atacar esto a tiempo y que no llegue a ser una situación terrible.
Correcto.
She pretty much said that it's good that there's a number that if you need help, is available for you to call for a situation that's so serious that's going on. And this nowadays it's happening so common nowadays.
Yes.
Yeah. What month or which season do you think that it's more that you see the higher cases?
I'd probably say we get more calls kind of like during the summertime when people are out and about.
Wow.
Okay.
But we do also get some of our winter seasonal depression,
Right.
things like that. Honestly, like our community is so active. There's always a high population of individuals in Gainesville, from our students to our normal neighbors, that we're just constantly receiving calls for service for individuals who want to be connected to some type of resource.
Okay. What about age range? Like,
I believe our normal range for population that we get is between 20 to 40.
Okay.
Wow.
I would think the numbers go up in December because of the holidays. People got no money.
Yeah.
People are away from their families, so they
Sometimes
get
we
depressed
do.
and then become suicidal.
Sometimes,
Look
but we
at-
also have students that during the school year, they're struggling. They feel like they're not meeting their parents' expectations. So we get a lot of calls during in season for not only K through 12 schools, but also the universities.
okay.
Lo que yo dije fue que para mí me sorprende que yo pensaba que fuera en diciembre por cuestión de Navidad, que la gente tiene dinero, la gente está fuera de su familia, se deprimen y cometen los pensamientos de suicidio, llega a su cabeza.
Yes. And one question: what are your warning signs that you look for, like an individual that is going through?
Yeah, so we want to see the signs that like family members or friends can look for if they're disengaging from normal activities. So if somebody normally is showing up to these family events or these friend hangouts and they're just not engaging anymore, if they're not doing their daily tasks, going to school, going to their job, they're not eating, drinking, doing proper hygiene, if they're normally a very tidy individual and you come over to check on them and their house is in disarray, these are all things that show us that something is happening and we got to figure out exactly what's the cause of that.
Sure. And yeah.
I would think also the way they look, their appearance, su apariencia, me imagino, their appearance, the way they look.
Yeah.
Una clave is a clue also.
Yeah.
Yeah, and now that you mentioned that, I remember like a few shows ago, we had La Licenciada Serrano, that she's a mental health counselor, and she also mentioned, like, we asked her, like, what are the signs that, like, as families, as friends, can we just look for a person that, okay, something is happening, and they are not talking, but we don't always have to look for the words, but just how the person is looking. And she mentioned that a change in behavior, and also like in routine, a kid. And we were talking about like adolescents or children, like they were passionate about sports or music, and just
They quit.
yeah, exactly. And the next day they just they get away from that.
Yes.
It's very important just to know the signs that, like I said, you don't always have to look for the words that are expressed, but just like the emotions and the behavior.
Yeah.
I think another thing is when they give away their property or stuff that you know they like, give it away. Otro signo es cuando la persona regala su cosa que tú sabes que le gusta. Es una clave que algo está pasando con su salud mental. Por ejemplo, lo mío fuera mi DJ, mi música. Si no regalo eso, algo está mal. For example, my would have been, if I give away my DJ equipment, check on me.
Yes.
I'm gonna have a problem.
Que toman decisiones muy drásticas.
Drastic decision. That's
Yeah,
what she
so
said.
like if they're quitting their job without having another job lined up, if they're selling their house and they have nowhere else to move, selling their cars, or making decisions on who's going to get their assets and things like that. those are things that we look for of something has changed in them, and whether they already have a diagnosis and their medication needs to be adjusted, or a lot of times we see individuals in their first onset, and so their family and friends, they don't know exactly what's going on, and they're just calling us saying something's changed in this person.
Also, Reed, I was gonna make a comment here, and it's so easy to get in that mode. Quieres ser oficial que es tan fácil entrar en esa actitud, esa forma de ser, es tan fácil, because a lot of things happen in your heart, in your life, muchas cosas pasan en tu vida, that takes you there, que te lleva a ese momento, a esa actitud o esa forma de pensar, takes you there to the way you think, take you to the way of thinking of that.
Yes.
Like you said, job, it could be a lot of things.
And I think
Relationship, I'm sorry. Relación con tu esposa, relationship with your wife or your couple.
Yes.
And I think that this job, like the job you guys are doing, it's very tough. Just regular like police responsibilities, I can imagine
That's
that, because we've seen the news,
right.
and it's just there are people out there doing insane things, and we're like, okay, this is happening in our county. And just to imagine that there are also things happening in people that they're just going through situations that they cannot control. They are at a point where things just going through their mind, and they cannot stop thinking.
They lose it, lo pierden.
Exactly. But I need to ask you, like, how do you cope with that after a day from work?
Yeah, so
good question.
I have a really good support system myself. I like to do hobbies that aren't related to law enforcement.
That's good.
So woodworking, I go fishing. I have a dog that I'm really close with. So on really hard days too, like I'll make plans for the weekend to make sure that I'm doing something that takes me away from the law enforcement world.
Daniela se preguntó qué hace ella para separarse de su trabajo. Ella dice le gusta pescar, pasar tiempo con su perrito y hacer trabajo con madera.
Eso es bien importante, porque tenemos que entender que también si las personas que están vulnerables a esto y sufren de salud mental, se afectan. Imagínate los seres humanos que bregan con este tipo de casos y que también salen afectados. Entonces tienen que buscar la manera de despegar una cosa de la otra para que sus vidas puedan funcionar normales.
She said that's good that you got people who those kind of work you do, that get away from that from that mentality, for they could adjust to their normal lives.
Yes.
And now that we were talking about September is Suicide Prevention Awareness Month, GPD is doing some kind of like talk, or you guys are going to schools, or what are you guys doing for this, especially this month?
Yeah, so we are posting on our social media about our co-responder team and suicide awareness. We go to schools, we go to different community events. Whenever there's a community event planned in Gainesville that GPD's requested to be at, we try to always have a co-responder team there to just touch as many people as we can and give the information about what we do.
Okay.
Officer Reeves, I want to ask you, what kind of training do you have to take to be part of the suicide prevention? Preguntarle al oficial Reeves qué tipo de training o entrenamiento le dieron para ser parte de ese grupo de la posición que tiene ella.
So we go through our crisis intervention training that's hosted by the Alachua County Crisis Center.
Okay.
So we have mental health clinicians that are teaching law enforcement and our co-responder team different ways to use de-escalation through crisis intervention. And then we also host a regional training day once a quarter with all the co-responder teams throughout the county. So ASO, the Sheriff's Office, has 3 teams, and the University Police Department for Florida also has 2 teams. So we all come together and we do different trainings and different scenarios.
Está diciendo que hacen training también con la Universidad de Florida, también con los deputies de aquí del condado, y se juntan y hacen training juntos con otro departamento de policías.
Muy bien.
How frequently do you guys get like mental health calls?
How often?
Yeah.
I will say I personally probably average about 5 to 10 a day.
In a day?
in a day.
Wow.
Wow.
Yes.
De Alex, el productor, que cuántas llamadas ella
I
tiene de suicidio, y ella respondió que son 10, casi 10 al día.
I think for
Dios mío.
our 4 teams, last month we had a total of like 270 calls.
Last month?
Yep.
Wow. And they
Dios
can
mío,
go
¿cómo
from
está?
a person just feeling
Feeling down.
to someone that is on the edge of committing suicide,
Yeah.
right?
So we
Actually, very close to actually doing it.
Yeah. So we get calls of people who are aware themselves that they need help and they want to go to a hospital or they want to go to counseling. And so we'll give them a ride there. A lot of times our populations, they just don't have access to transportation to get to where they need to go. So they call us. And then we have family members that call in well-being checks because they haven't heard from their family members for a while. And then we get the calls where they're taking the steps to harm themselves, and we try to intervene at that point.
Oh, Sharif, is that the same as Baker Act?
Yeah.
Okay. ¿Cómo se dice Baker Act? No sé cómo se dice en español.
No sé cuál es ese término. ¿Cómo lo describirías?
Es como cuando o sea, tú te entregas, como dice ella, te entrega que tengo un pensamiento...
Voluntariamente.
Voluntariamente.
Ok.
Se llama
Sí.
Baker Act. No sé cómo se dice en español.
We want to make sure people know too, though, just because they call law enforcement for somebody who is in a mental health crisis, it doesn't always result in a Baker Act. So a lot of times people are concerned that that's what's going to happen. They're going to be
Right.
forced
If you
to go
call-
to a hospital.
Gotcha.
Okay.
And so that is our last case scenario. Our team comes in, we try to use the least restrictive. So if we feel like we can get them to the crisis center for that therapy appointment, and that can help de-escalate situations, then that's what we're going to do. If we can put a support system in place for them, what we call a safety plan with their family and friends, we're going
Eso es
to
importante.
implement that. Because we don't want people to think that just because they call us, they're going to be forced to go
Correct.
somewhere.
Yeah, and that's important to translate, chicos.
Ella está diciendo que se llama la policía cuando está en esa situación o te sientes de esa manera. No significa, o sea, que no tengas miedo, porque no significa que te van a llevar o sea, obligadamente al hospital. Hay otras opciones antes de llegar al hospital. O sea, no tengas miedo de llamar a la policía.
Las llamadas que reciben los oficiales escalan de diferentes maneras. Van desde uno que necesita ayuda y pide los recursos y a otro que está ya en camino a cometer, a quitarse la vida. Y lo que nos comenta el oficial es que hay que perder el miedo de pensar de que si llamamos a la policía es porque nos van ya el procedimiento es solo ingresarlo al hospital. Sería en contra de su voluntad porque ya solo, está llamando, pero el recurso va directamente al hospital y no es así, sino que ellos buscan la manera de ayudar, ya sea con estar con un terapeuta, ver realmente las necesidades. To really evaluate what their needs are for that person specifically, and then just no solo van directamente a ser ingresados en un hospital.
O sea, depende de tus condiciones.
Ajá. Claro, lo que importa aquí, yo pienso que es que ellos que sepan que no están solos y que esa llamada es una llamada de valentía, que cada día es una nueva oportunidad para sanar y seguir adelante, y sobre todo que los sentimientos importan, que tu vida importa y tú importas.
Is there a case that you, if you don't mind mentioning it, that you remember like recently that just it remind you why you're doing this?
Yeah. So I want to say it's probably about 2 weeks ago, not last Friday, the Friday before, we got a call from some family members of an individual who felt like there was nowhere else for them to go, and they had access to a firearm, and they were telling their family members, like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to kill myself. When we got on scene, his family had made it to the apartment prior to us, so he was already outside talking to them. We were able to continue to talk to him and decide that the crisis center was the best option, but part of that too, to prevent him from having to be placed under a Baker Act, was he had to be willing to hand his firearm over to a family member, which he said he was already in the process of starting to do that. So his dad was there, who was able to take possession of it. Wow. Dad took it. We took him to the crisis center. He got engaged with them and was he was making follow-up appointments, and then we dropped him back off with family members so that he would have that support and not be by himself. We also connected him with a couple other resources in the community, because some of the things that piled up was he was losing his housing and he had lost his job and his relationship. He had a lot of factors
that were going on.
And then when we dropped him back off at his family's house, he said, "You guys saved my life today."
Wow.
And that was one of those calls that really shows that what we're doing makes the difference. And the important part of our team is we don't have to make a quick decision, right? When we're doing this evaluation, trying to figure out what is the best option for this person, we can spend an hour, we can spend 2 hours. If I have to, I can spend my entire shift with somebody trying to figure out what is the best option. How do we keep this person safe? And so it's not, while I have a lot of calls that I could go to, my concern is the call that I'm on and prioritizing that call, that person, and them not feeling like it's just another call and I have other things to get to.
Yeah, I think that's what people are looking for, someone that it's going to show up, someone that's going to be there, because sometimes
who's going to care.
Exactly. In this case, his family show up.
Yes.
And they were there for him, but in some cases there's no one. Oh, they think there's no one that they can help them, right?
Yeah.
And when they do the call, it's like, I know they're going to show up and they're going to give me the thing I need, the resources I need. So I think that's why it's really important.
I wanted to ask you, Officer Reeves, when you show up to a call like that, for example, that call, how many officers are with you? Cuando ella responde a esa llamada como esa, ¿cuántos oficiales responden con ella?
So initially, because there was the risk of the firearm, there was a decent amount of officers there.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yes.
As soon as we determined that he was separated from that firearm, it then became myself, my clinician, and one other officer stayed, just so that other officer can continue to engage with the family while we're engaging with our individual and figuring out what their needs are and what the family is also expressing to us.
Officer Reese dijo, por ese caso, como tuvo que ver con una alma, llegó más oficiales con ella, o sea, tener más respaldo. Pero cuando ella llegó, le quitaron la alma para que lo pudieran atender.
Officer Riggs, what message would you give someone or the families that know someone that are struggling with mental health?
Just know that we are here. We do have the teams that will come out, and like I said, there's not a rush. This is our job. A lot of times people feel like they want to apologize to us, and we want people to know, like, our job is to come and figure out what we can do to help.
All right.
And know that our city, our county is really blessed. We have the Gainesville Fire Rescue paramedicine team that will help with individuals who are facing houselessness, that need assistance with getting connected to medical treatment, need help with finding jobs. They'll also help with filling out SSI. Like, they have a lot of pillars that they help with, and they're always willing to go out and engage with the community, as well as the Alachua County Crisis Center. They're willing to come out. They're willing to engage or have individuals come in for walk-in therapy. And all of these resources are free. You don't have to have insurance. You don't have to have anything but the willingness to work with,
to get better.
The willingness to work with them and figure out how we can help you.
That's amazing. Para nuestra audiencia, que sepan que hay los recursos. Estamos bendecidos de estar en un condado, el condado de Alachua, que tiene los recursos, tiene el equipo, tiene las instituciones, las organizaciones que son gratis para cualquier persona que necesite, para las familias que sepan de alguien. Es lo más importante, lo que hablamos con nuestra frase del día, es actuar. No esperar, no dejarlo para después, sino actuar. Si conocemos a alguien que está pasando por una situación o que tal vez no lo demuestra en palabras, estar atentos. Lo bueno es estar atentos y saber que el departamento de policía, tanto como lo de los bomberos, como las organizaciones del condado, instituciones públicas, están aquí para ayudarnos y a cualquiera que lo necesite antes de que esta situación escale a mayores.
Claro que sí.
I was I want to ask you, if a person is going through that situation and they have a gun, a gun, can they call you and say, hey, I'm going through a situation, please come get this gun? Is there a protocol that you guys go get the gun? I mean...
Yeah, so we will store the gun in our property and evidence area. There will be steps that person will have to go through to get that gun back. But we will also help navigate if they have family members that can take control of the gun. So I've had calls where we've had officers, correction officers that are going through something and we don't feel like it's safe for them to have access to firearms.
Yes.
And we're able to hand it over to some of their co-workers and things. So
Gotcha.
there are safety plans that we put in place. We also say if you're not willing to hand your gun over to somebody, separate parts of the gun, right? Break the gun down so that it takes, for you to use that as a lethal means, you would have to
Go through
work
the process,
the
put it
steps
together,
of putting it together.
which is a lot, actually.
Yeah. And so there are things that we come in and we try to educate and try to resolve if they aren't wanting to hand their gun over.
Le pregunté a Official Reese que si uno está pasando por situación y tienen una arma, si lo puede llamar para que ellos puedan buscar el arma. Dice que sí, pero después te llevan la arma, te lo guardan, pero para sacarlo un proceso, o que ellos van ahí y se lo dan a otra persona, una amistad, una persona que de confianza, obviamente. Y ella recomienda también, si está pasando por eso, que lo rompan, o sea, que lo desarmen. También.
Thank you, Officer Riggs, for the very important information that, especially in this month and, well, all year long, it's very important to know and just to be aware of.
A personal question. You always wanted to be a police officer? Una pregunta. ¿Usted siempre quería ser policía?
Yes and no. Okay. It was always an option. I went to college for a couple other majors and they didn't work out. And I knew I had a mentor when I was in high school who was my school resource officer. She definitely helped keep me on the path to be successful, to make it to college. And so originally I came into law enforcement thinking I would also go into being an SRO and trying to help kids stay on the right path. And then I realized I could do that in patrol. And then I found this position that means a lot to me, and I enjoy this work that I'm doing, and so I've kind of focused on the co-responder team.
That's wonderful.
Ella dijo que fue a la universidad para otro título, pero no le funcionó. Ella tenía un mentor que era policía de su escuela, que la guió, le motivó a ser policía y le gusta lo que está haciendo.
Qué bien.
Muy bien. Well, now that
la motivación siempre es importante.
Exacto. Y que le gusta lo que hace, y especialmente
le gusta su trabajo. Sí.
Pero bueno, ya estamos al final de nuestra hora. Once again, thank you, Officer Riggs.
Thank you for what you do.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for your service.
Great job. Appreciate your service.
So, tengo unos fiesteros aquí que quiero leer los comentarios. Tenemos a Tuti. Saludos, Tuti. Tuti say, and our audience is saying happy Friday. Thank you, GPD, for all what you do. Y te dice algo a ti para Chico Love. Oye, ¿cómo sabes? Ya saben, Chico Love tiene bastante vocabulario, él sabe de su trabajo ahí. Tal vez algo de lo que dijiste de ese término.
Muy bien.
Tengo un background de eso, un poquito, por eso sé.
El sonido. Pero bueno, gracias a los fiesteros que estuvieron en sintonía con nosotros. Gracias a GPD por darnos este segmento pasando una semana cada viernes, que nos informan de lo que está pasando, recomendaciones, y en este caso crear conciencia del suicidio, que es una realidad, ya tanto en los jóvenes como en los adultos, es una realidad que hay que estar pendiente.
Y saber que detrás de la tormenta siempre viene la calma.
Exacto.
Y es válido siempre aguantar un día más.
Exacto, sí,
la cosa es mejor, coge tiempo. Oren, buscan ayuda, habla con una persona de confianza.
Así es.
Eso es muy importante. No hable con cualquiera, cualquier gato. Habla con una persona que usted sabe que de confianza, y otra cosa muy importante, sabe que no va a decir que está pasando a otra persona.
Exacto, hay la ayuda, así que no perdamos la esperanza.
No sea un bochinchero.
No, así es. Así que bueno, fiesteros, les deseamos un bonito fin de semana, que lo disfruten y que se llenen de energía, de felicidad y todo.
Thank you.
Muchas gracias.
God bless everybody at the GPD. Thank you for your service.
Así es. Así que gracias a todos. Buen fin de semana. Nos despedimos en la casa de los latinos.
En Gainesville, Florida, la casa de los latinos. Fiesta, Tu Fiesta Radio.
mis hermanos latinos, soy Gilberto Santa Rosa y los invito a sintonizar Tu Fiesta Radio.
Hola, ¿qué tal? It's your girl Becky G. Los quiero mucho.
Soy Camilo. Tú sabes cómo va, te habla Nicky Jam.
Hola, soy Shakira.
Dímelo, dímelo. Nosotros somos el grupo Manana.
Soy Melina León. Sintoniza en Tu Fiesta Radio.
Hola, ¿qué tal, amigos? Yo soy Juanes.
Somos Flor del Tabaco y los invitamos a sintonizar Tu Fiesta Radio.
La variedad 24/7.
Tu Fiesta Radio, celebrando nuestra música. La casa de los latinos en Gainesville, Florida. 95.7. Tu Fiesta Radio.
No. Mira lo que les he hecho a mi camioneta. Esto es tu culpa.
Yo estaba primero saliendo y usted me chocó a mí.
No. Tú. Yo voy a llamar ahora mismo a Jeffrey Melton, mi abogado.
Jeffrey, mi esposo, llámalo.
Meldon Law habla Jeffrey.
Una mujer loca aquí. Me acaba de tocar la camioneta.
Jeffrey,
¿Un cliente nuevo? Sí, pero un poco complicado. Saludos mis hermanos latinos, soy Gilberto Santa Rosa y los invito a sintonizar Tu Fiesta Radio.
Hola, ¿qué tal? It's your girl Becky G. Los quiero mucho.
Soy Camilo. Tú sabes cómo va, te habla Nicky Jam.
Hola, soy Shakira.
Dímelo, dímelo. Nosotros somos el grupo Manana.
Soy Melina León. Sintoniza en Tu Fiesta Radio.
Hola, ¿qué tal, amigos? Yo soy Juanes.
Somos Flor del Tabaco y los invitamos a sintonizar Tu Fiesta Radio.
La variedad 24/7.
Tu Fiesta Radio, celebrando nuestra música. La casa de los latinos en Gainesville, Florida. 95.7. Tu Fiesta Radio.
We're the Martin family, and we've been members of Campus USA since 1998.
It's very important to have a personal relationship with anyone you're doing business with. They don't try to guide you in another direction when they know who you are and what you're trying to do.
I think they give a lot of people a chance that other financial institutions would not.
Everyone, helps you. Make sure you have what you need, exactly what you want, in the way that you want it.
I don't feel like a customer at campus. I feel like I'm a member of their family.
Fiesta.